All right. Seems as if I'm live here. Okay, cool. I think I'll just get started. I have no clue how many people are in this call or if I'm maybe alone, but I'd say I just get started. Um, yeah, so welcome everybody to this short session about B2B sales. My name is Yannis. I'm founder and managing director sales of CoachHub. And Jeroen and the fantastic team from Speed Invest asked me to share a few words of wisdom around how to build a scalable B2B sales machine. So I call it the 10 elements of a highly scalable B2B sales machine. I was thinking about the 10 commandments of a B2B sales machine. I was ready to get my white beard out and get these things here. But then I decided I go with something a little bit more humble. So I'm going to share the 10 learnings that I made over the last, mostly 10 years. And my idea was here to share the learnings I made and to also provide some actionable items that you can directly use if you're in that stage to scale your B2B efforts and to maybe not make the mistakes I have made in the past and to benefit a little bit from my learnings. So the stuff I'm going to show you is based on about 10 years experience in sales. I had a couple of B2B startups before. Worked 2 years in LinkedIn as a sales manager in Dublin. I led a team there for account executives. And 3 years, of course, in CoachHub building and leading the sales team, reading many books about sales and all the good stuff. Talking to tons of people in the industry, other B2B SaaS founders, other sales leaders from larger companies. And I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to B2B sales. I love everything around that. I read everything. I listen to any podcast around that stuff. I'm really passionate about it. So as I mentioned, so maybe the learnings I'm going to share here can be a little bit of a shortcut for you when you are scaling your B2B efforts. So super quick introduction about what CoachHub is. So this is a picture from our latest offsite in July, I think it was, in Berlin, when we flew a few people in to meet for the first time after a while in lockdown. Had some great fun there. So general, super quick, what is CoachHub? And then we get tracking. So CoachHub is the global market leader in digital coaching. We are 3 years old, a little bit more now, raised more than 130 million in venture capital. We got 15 offices across the globe. We have around 550 corporate clients. We're growing to 500 full-time employees by the end of this year to around 800 mid next year, with a huge chunk of that in sales. So we're gonna have more or less 500 people in sales or sales supporting functions. So it's an army that looked quite different 3 years back. We got a global pool of 3,000 coaches all across the globe in 60 languages, in all time zones and all continents. I'm currently in New York, looking at what's going on here. On the right-hand side, you see of our clients. Let's just get the other stuff here. So what do? It's a digital coaching platform, meaning we enable mostly large companies, but also startups and scale-ups to roll out coaching to a wider audience within the company. So coaching has been a very exclusive thing, mostly for the executive level, to help grow, reflect, develop leadership skills, manage yourself, and all the good stuff. And we saw the impact on ourselves and decided to build a platform to scale that across the entire workforce. So we do digital coaching, meaning we match coaches with employees through AI and big data. So they have a one-on-one conversation through our app, can also be applied on the desktop. And then you have tasks, goals, and all the good stuff where you can track your progress with 3,000 coaches all across the globe. And use cases are usually learning and development, leadership development, but also transformation and many other things. All right. So let's get cracking. I'll tell a few words or my 10 ingredients to build a scalable sales machine from my point of view. Again, it's my personal point of view. But yeah, so start with why when you are building a sales force. So many people think that if you are hiring people and want salespeople and want to motivate salespeople, everybody thinks they're purely money driven, right? It's all about watches, cars, big paychecks. That used to be maybe it has been the case like 20 years back, but I can tell you it's still important, but it's definitely not a differentiator anymore. You need something bigger, especially with the new generations that are joining you. So forget about outcompeting everybody else in the market just through salary, because you want the good salespeople and they can go to Google or wherever they want to, and they can definitely pay more than you can. So you need to have a big mission and big vision. And I can tell you from our own experience, people are really living that. So they're really inspired by this, and it drives them a lot. So it keeps them going when times are tough. So yeah, as I mentioned, people are motivated by different things. So this is our vision and our mission to democratize coaching for people of all career levels worldwide and unleash their personal potential. And it's a very inspiring and motivating mission for many, many people. For others, it's numbers, especially for my more senior leaders in my sales team. I just showed the slide last week on our offsite about the sheer potential this market has. So Gartner is predicting 100 billion plus market just in Europe alone, 100x growth. This is a screenshot from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, where we just looked at the accounts that we can go after. It's, I don't know, 3 to 10 million if you include SMB. So it's a huge widespread out there. And I can tell you after that, my sales leaders were very pumped, because they just said, wow, this can become really big thing, and motivated them a lot. So people are motivated by different things, but you definitely need a big vision behind the whole stuff. Okay, next element is building the right sales culture. As I mentioned, a nice product, a good pay is not a differentiator anymore. The people come and stay for the culture. So I'm big on that. People who work in CoachHub know that I'm super huge on culture. It's I was the first sales rep in CoachHub. I was selling. I was going around. I was cold calling. I was doing shitty sales meetings. I did it all myself, right? And this is the culture in CoachHub. I lead from the front, and I expect all of my leaders to do the same. I'm still in calls right now, even the fact that it's a large organization. I am with calls. I'm going to clients tomorrow. I've been in 3 calls yesterday. I support my reps there, and because I want to show that I walk the talk. And again, I expect this from all my other leaders too. And the other thing is, of course, that sales is a tough job, and you need a lot of spiffs around it. So we do a lot of sales beers, lunches. Then we have President's Club for the high performers. We send them to a nice island this year if they overperformed, to recognize their performance, how well they did. And it's also important with quarterly awards for the high performers, recognize them. And so this is all the sales culture. But at the same time, it's important that we build a culture that is extremely team-oriented and human-centric. So I know companies who have a sharky culture. People steal deals from each other, go after clients that's not in their territory, and I don't want that. I'm super clear about that, and all my leaders know that there's not, such a thing's not happening within CoachHub. That was very important to me. And what else? So we have a sales culture, yes, because I built this culture. So we have a bit of I would call it a pirate culture, but we want to win, and we push hard, right? All within ethical boundaries, but we don't give up easily. And I think that's also the people we attract and who stay are, bringing this kind of mindset. Nevertheless, I'll check if I have this on our slide. Yes, I do. So I wanted to share our internal sales values of CoachHub. We have CoachHub company-wide values, but we also have internal sales values, and every new employee, gets shown this, and they are being evaluated on this. So we want that the people stay humble, right? So nobody's, even if you're a high performer, you have to stay humble. You need to be open for feedback. You need to be coachable, even if you're on a roll, can be over soon. So stay humble and be open for feedback from all angles. Of course, stay hungry. Push the clients, go for the big deals. Integrity first is extremely important for us. We don't want any weird behavior. We also, take measures there. So we let people go who don't show integrity. And this can be anything from, how you use the CRM in terms of commission, how you do deals and all the good stuff. So extremely important for us. Acting like an owner is very important. So just imagine, I always bring this example. I'm going to do it here too. So whatever you do in CoachHub, act as if it's your own company. And if it's a toilet paper you use, how much toilet papers you use, think as if it's your own company and act accordingly with any decision, and then you'll know it's the right decision. No excuses is the fourth one. We, things can happen. We can miss a forecast, whatever, that can happen, but please tell your manager up front. Don't come to me afterward and say, come up with excuses and stories. That's not going to work. And then very important for us is selling is a team sport. So we sell to mostly large, complex enterprises, and without a team across the globe in different functions, it won't work. So we really instilled in our DNA that selling is a team sport, and it's extremely important to make a global sales organization work. Okay. So my third learning is splitting the acquisition channels. So usually when people start building a sales team, they think, okay, we're just going to hire a few salespeople and let them run. That can work, but imagine the following: you have a sales rep, extremely expensive, has to do their own cold calling to get appointments to build pipeline. It can work and it will work, and actually our reps have to do that to some degree. But on the long run, it's not the best investment, because this person is extremely expensive. And also, if this person has enough pipeline and enough deals going on, they stop to cold call and stop to pipeline, and because they can live from the stuff they have built up. And then 6 months later, there's the problem. Oh, my pipeline is dry, and then they start to cold call again. It's tricky, and especially the cost effect is it's very critical. So what we do is we have SDR sales developers who are junior people who go out and do the cold calling, set appointments, and then our account executives, the salespeople, they close the deals, and the customer success people, they retain and they make sure we have above industry average retention rates. So I recommend you to look into this idea too. That's best practice. It just makes sense. All right, I need to speed up a little thing a bit, I think so. So spears, nets, and seeds when it comes to client acquisition. So I think a few of you might know this super funny graph here. I think it's from Christoph Janz, who built this 5 ways to build $100 million business. So on the right hand side, you can go after a lot of small clients, but then you need millions of them. And on the left hand side, you see the whale on the top. You need just a couple of them to build $100 million business, right? And actually, I just found this graph, and I love the small little bacteria here on the right hand side, which has been apparently added by some funny guy. Anyway, so you can, if you run a B2B business, you have to decide, or you don't have to, but usually you decide which target you go after. We are going after the whales and the dinosaurs on the top, and this kind of dictates the acquisition strategy you run. So many people think when they start a B2B company, okay, let's do a little bit of AdWords, some marketing, a little bit of PR, and they will come, right? So they will ask for a demo, and then we just call them and we close them. I am pretty convinced that, especially for complex enterprise sales, that's not gonna work. So it can work for small SMB, for smaller deals, for smaller companies. They do that, but it's unusual that the CFO or CEO of Siemens is going to ask for a demo on your website. So you have to hunt. Yeah, you have to. This is what you see at the spear here. You have to hunt for these kind of appointments, and therefore you need an outbound sales team. It's the SDRs or account executives who actively hunt and go after these targeted accounts, because otherwise it's not gonna happen. You have in the lower part, you see the nets. Going back to the other thing here, there's fish, or there can be fish. Like, think of the mouse as a fish, so you can fish them with a net, right? But a whale, you need a spear. So that's what I highly recommend, that if you're an enterprise sales, build a team that carries the spear. And first, which is not to be neglected, is the seats part on the right side. This is happening when you get enough clients, and they start talking about you, especially in some industries. We sell to HR, they talk a lot. So, and we see the effects that are kicking in now. People talk to each other, people recommend each other, CoachHub, and so this is hard to measure and hard to plan for, but it's happening. It actually has a huge impact on your customer acquisition cost at some point. So calculate with it. It will happen if you work hard enough before. But again, I personally am a big fan of being the master of my own destiny. That's why we have this outbound scalable sales strategy. Okay. Learning number 5 for me is to pick one sales methodology, because selling is art and science at the same time. And there might be people out there who are extremely skilled in selling, but they don't stick to any rules and any, guidelines. They're just great relationship builders. They just like to talk with people. That's okay. And these people are important, but there are a few things that you need to cover as a sales rep. And, think about, you have to find the actual pain the client is feeling. You have to build a business case. You need to find budget. You need to find the stakeholders and the decision makers within the account. There's tons of sales methodologies out there. You can, it's a tough decision which one you take, but just take one, pick it, and stay with it. Because it's extremely important that the whole sales organization talks the same language. You have to be able to go to a rep that's maybe 5 levels below you, meet them in the water cooler, and just ask about, the business issues of a client, and they need to be like from the hip, have to tell you about it, and it speeds up things so much. So pick a sales methodology and stick to it. Okay, let's see what we have next here. Yes, invest in sales enablement. So I'm in the US right now. So the US calls it force multiplier. So if you imagine you've got the US Army, all great soldiers, but what you do if you don't want to hire more soldiers, but you want to make them more effective, right? You give them better weapons, you train them better, you make sure they follow the right plan and all the good stuff. And the Army apparently calls it the force multiplier. Basically, it's the same, right? So you make sure that your sales team works at the best, at their max capacity, and they're not distracted by crappy things. I read a statistic: 70% of sales reps spend time with admin, building decks, and so on and so forth, and only 30% with clients. That's not good, right? Because first of all, they're too expensive, and second, they are really bad most of the time with creating content and design and all this stuff. So, make a cut, take it off their plate, and build an own sales enablement team. Sales enablement is not only training; it's of course a hugely important part of that. So make sure they're well trained. They get all the stuff they need. They get onboarded. They get continuously onboarded. They get coached. They get the support they need. But sales enablement also includes things like pitch decks, use cases, white papers, videos, ROI calculators, all the things a good sales rep needs in order to be at the maximum capacity and maximum efficiency, because then it's, of course, these expensive salespeople are much more, bring a much higher return on investment, and they're also much more happy if you provide the service. And our sales enablement team is growing to 10, and probably going to keep on growing, because I think it's extremely important. And also, make sure it's fun, right? Learning should be fun, because otherwise it's not being prioritized. All right, number 7, get a RevOps team. So RevOps used to be called Sales Ops. Now it's called RevOps, because they look after everything client-facing and revenue-generating, that not only sales, but also SDRs, marketing, customer success, account management. And our RevOps leader, he oversees all the processes along the acquisition channel and chain, and optimizes all the things and measures everything. So what does a RevOps person do? As I mentioned, it's extremely important to have this person at some point. With 2 people, it's not so critical, but afterwards, it is. It gets tricky, because this person builds compensation plans, this person builds targets, this person builds overperformance KPIs and all the good stuff. So if you mess that up, your sales force will be extremely demotivated. And I have seen it from other companies. They have sometimes it's the CFO who does it, sometimes it's the COO. That doesn't work. I mean, it can work, but it wasn't, from what I heard, wasn't going well. So because our sales ops person, he actually brought Slack public as their sales ops or RevOps guy, and knows all the stuff. He knows how to build territories, how to build books, how to build a good compensation plan that's motivating. So get one person sooner than later to help you do the right things there. And you will be very happy that you did it. Okay, so number 8, build a scalable number-driven recruiting process. So I come from the B2C world originally. I've been into online marketing, AdWords, and LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, all the stuff. You scale by clicking a button and putting 10,000 euros more per whatever there. Easy, right? You get more business with one click. The unfortunate situation in B2B, that's not the case, right? You scale via people. So that means as a sales leader, you also absolutely have to own the recruiting. And it's easy to say, hey, HR, please bring me in people. If I don't find people, I can scale. That doesn't work. You have to own it. And even if HR is too slow, find your own solutions. So go out, work with headhunters, use your network, do anything to get the people in seat, because you carry a quota. You need to hit your target, and there's no time for excuses and no place for excuses that some people didn't do this or that. Get the people in, right? I can remember myself when I was at LinkedIn. I used my LinkedIn profile and just prospected myself for potential candidates, because you need to get them in, because that's it's the lifeblood of what you're doing there. Be extremely structured. So no talking to the CEO, drinking a beer, and then hiring the person because he's a cool fellow. No, don't do it. Have a written down process. We did this very early on, and it's completely defined. We define the steps, the questions. We do a peer interview. We do a role play. Always do reference checks. We always check on quota attainment, and all these things you have to do, and it will drive up the success rate of your hiring. So it's a science for itself, but you, as a sales leader, basically have to have an eye on it, and you cannot outsource this and say, well, not my business, because it's maybe not your business, but it will be your problem if it doesn't work. The good news is, the bad news first is it's horribly hard in the beginning if you don't have a name, but it gets easy after Series B. So we, at the moment, have a huge influx of crazy people from Google, LinkedIn, Salesforce. So it's really, really picking up, but again, it took a while. And remember, hiring is sales. You have to have a sales mindset as a headhunter, as a recruiter, and make sure your HR team comps the recruiters on the headcount they hire. So they should have a target and an overperformance bonus, just like salespeople. All right. Invest in retention. Yeah, so it's obvious, but just do the math in your head. What does it cost you to lose a fully ramped rep who carries, I don't know, 1 million in yearly target, who's ramped and leaves, costs you 1 million, or more along the road with a person not in seat. It's horribly expensive. It's most people don't know it, but it's really, really bad. So you have to do a lot of things to make sure people stay. First of all, it's culture, mission, values. All the stuff I talked about is extremely important to keep the retention high. And be extremely generous with overperformance. I have seen things like capped commissions, right? After you close more business than you were supposed to, somebody capped the commission. Who does that, right? So, but I've seen it. Again, make sure they have a backup system, as I mentioned, the revops team, sales enablement team that makes sure that they're working full capacity and don't have to deal with all the admin stuff because it's boring. Everybody hates it, and I have to speed up a little bit here. All right, so all right, let's check. So yeah, build career path, because especially the newer generations, they want to advance very, very fast, right? They want to grow, and this is our career path. So the young SDRs, they can step up, go to account executive and grow up. They can also go to a leadership path, but make sure that you show them where they can go. That's how you make them stay, because they can consistently grow and develop. Extremely important. This is just one slide from the deck for them. So after you're an SDR, you join as a junior E, and you can work your way up through ranks up to a VP of sales. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be the head of sales if I wouldn't bring up this slide here. So number 10 is invest in coaching your reps. So everybody who is a little bit in the sales knows that coaching the rep has the highest impact on their performance. There's tons of studies out there. The ones who know or have read the Challenger Sale, I think it's a whole chapter there, how coaching impacts the reps' performance. So make sure your managers coach your reps. So that's important, but also make sure you support your managers, because the managers of these reps are, of course, have a huge impact on their performance. If the managers stress out and tell you frontline sales manager job is a horrible job, I've been there myself, you need support. It's stress. You've got the pressure from the targets. You have salespeople who are not always the easiest people to manage, and it's a horrible, stressful job. So make sure you support them. One option is, of course, to coach them. Actually, I brought a funny number that one of our clients who coached their sales managers saw an uplift of 15%, which doesn't sound a lot, but they came from a multi-million baseline. And after we coached their managers for 6 months, the revenues just went up. So make sure you support your leaders too, and the revenue will come. All right, just a last bonus slide here for you. Yeah, Mark, move fast and break things, right? So all that I showed you, at some point you should have it, but don't over-engineer from the start, because you first have to validate that actually what you're doing there is the right thing. Are you going after the right market? Are you going with do you have product market fit? So I urge you, go out and sell yourself, be with the clients and get the feedback, and then tweak the process and adapt it. And then you can, build all the functions there. But, don't freak out. It will come. As long as you have a product market fit, the rest will follow. But, these 10 things I shared there might save you a little bit of time along the way. All right. Thank you very much for your attention. I think we have 1 minute left for questions. And thank you very much for your attention. Okay, cool. Otherwise, I would say let's wait a couple of more seconds. Well then, I'm saying thanks. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll hand back the mic to the crew. Thank you.